limits by 80. Goals. Tonight we're going to come to people and we're going to exalt his name. Praise the Lord.
Sorry, Bennett.
Good morning, Bennett Bells. How are you? Good morning. So great to see all of y'all out this morning as we welcome alumna Shemiah Curry back home to be with us. I'm excited about her presentation this morning, and I'm hoping that you all will get something out of her message, out of her words this morning. Shemiah Curry, a native of Chicago, Illinois, and the eldest of 3 girls, Ms. Shemiah K. Curry is a 2016 graduate of Bennett College. Her matriculation at Bennett College began in 2012 after leaving another institution because she desired the camaraderie and support within the HBCU experience. During her matriculation at Bennett College, she served in roles that groomed her gifts of leadership, public speaking, and mentorship for girls. As an undergraduate, she was very active in NAACP, as well as New Student Orientation, which happened to be her favorite activity of the year. Shemiah's leadership capabilities also afforded her prestigious opportunities, such as participating in internships with the White House and MSNBC, recognition as an Andrew Mellon Mays Research Fellow, Student Government Association President 2015-2016, a feature in Jet Magazine, numerous scholarships, and her latest accomplishment of serving as an English instructor in Rwanda. Indeed, her transformative experiences at Bennett College have helped shape her into a transformative leader, public speaker, and mentor. If you all please will put your hands together for Ms. Shemiah Curry.
I am not a fan of the mic, but I'm going to use it so that all of you can hear me. Once again, my name is Shemiah Curry, and I am a native of Chicago, Illinois. In Kinyarwanda, which is the native language in Rwanda, we would say Maramutse. So repeat after me, Maramutse. Maramutse. Yes, that means good morning. Maramutse neza. Maramutse neza. Which is another way to say good morning. And then I will say karibu, which means you are welcome into this space. Karibu. Yeah, so now you know Swahili and Kinyarwanda. Very good. So today I am presenting on leadership, and I am very excited to present on that because for so many years, people here have considered me a leader. So if you can see that picture, can you see me? So you can't really, okay, I'm the little spot down there with the arrow. It's okay, but that's a picture from 2002 when I was 9 years old. And so this morning, I got really frustrated as a leader. I felt like everything was falling apart, and my friend was like, what is going on with this girl? I think it was insecurity, thinking that maybe I wasn't good enough to be an ACES speaker this morning, right? And then I went back to like, okay, well, when I interned at the White House, when I interned at MSNBC, all of these other places, I had this same moment of insecurity, freaking out, clothes not working, shoes not working, all of those kind of things. And so when we talk about leadership, you need to remember that sometimes we sabotage our own experiences because of insecurity, okay? So some of you haven't ran for leadership positions on campus because you are insecure. Some of you chose not to come to school right after graduating because you were insecure. Some of you still haven't got a car or an apartment because you are insecure about those decisions. And we are insecure about our decisions. We sabotage our own experiences, okay? So this morning, I almost sabotaged my experience. So I went to the White House. I was freaking out. I was like, I don't deserve to be at the White House. I'm the youngest one out of 100 people. I'm from Bennett College. Nobody knows Bennett College. And what? I handled it, and I did it very well. When I got featured in Jet Magazine, I was like, okay, once again, oh, snaps. Nobody knows Jet Magazine. Oh, Jet Magazine is dying. I shouldn't be a part of this opportunity. But sure enough, they featured me, and then I started getting all of these news interviews. And so I'm so grateful that I stepped out of my own insecurity so that I did not sabotage my experience. Now, as we transition into more understanding about leadership, we must also understand that leaders must trust their gut. Okay? You know, the gut or the shunda is what people in the South call it sometimes, that feeling right there, that pit, right? Yeah, I see you nodding your head. There we go. Your gut. Everybody has a gut. So in 2011, when I graduated from high school, I said, Ma, Dad, I'm going to Mizzou. They were like, okay, no problem. I got to Mizzou and I had the time of my life. It was the best fresh woman experience, okay? I was with all kinds of people and I did all kinds of things, okay? But by the end of my first semester, I knew based on my gut feeling that I was not returning to Mizzou. Not because it was a bad school, but it was not the institution for me. So I go back home and my mom was like, where are you going? I was like, I don't know. My god sister calls me and she was like, I know you want to go to Spelman, but there's a school better than Spelman called Bennett College, and you need to get your butt here. I was like, Bennett? I don't know nothing about no Bennett. Sure enough, I went to use the restroom, and what's in Essence magazine on page 10, I remember specifically, Bennett College with President Malveaux. So I get in the car. My mom was like, where are we going, Mizzou or Bennett? I said Bennett. I get to Bennett, and they tell me I only have $3,000 to my name. Tuition was like $23 at that time. My mom was like, no, we're going home. You are not staying here. We don't have all this money. The people in financial aid looked my mom in the eye and said, trust me, your baby will be okay. You are free to go. And sure enough, I was okay, right? I graduated. So when I talked to my father yesterday about this presentation, he said, remember the reason you went so hard about Bennett College is because you felt like you had to thank Bennett College for trusting that gut feeling in your stomach. And he's absolutely right. The reason I led the way that I led this campus is because I felt like I owe Bennett College a big thank you for following the gut feeling that I had, okay? So I went 4 years at Bennett. I became SGA president because my sisters asked me to become SGA president. We did sister chats, sleepovers, we networked with A&T, and it was the time of my life. Now you ask some people, they might say I was a crazy leader. You ask some other people, they might say I was a dynamic leader. It's all about perspective. But the basis is I trust my gut feeling, okay? So when I graduated from Bennett College, people asked me, like, what are you going to do? You're SGA president, you got these high honors, what are you going to do? Go to grad school. No, I'm not going to grad school, don't want to go to grad school. Gut feeling, right? Go be a teacher, that's what your degree is in. No, not going to be a teacher, don't feel it in my gut. I said, but I do want to study abroad or live abroad. And so I applied for a program, and sure enough, they said they are sending me to Rwanda. Now, when you think about Rwanda, what's the first thing you think? Hotel Rwanda, genocide, Hutus, Tutsis, all of that, right? So, of course, Mama Curry was like, no, you're not going. I was like, Mommy, you got to trust me, like, trust this gut feeling. She's like, I don't care about your gut feeling. I'm a parent, you're not going. I was like, So she called everybody in the office who worked for this organization, and she says, I need every fact and supporting evidence and piece of supporting evidence to prove that my baby can go. I said, Mom, don't do all of that. You're going to embarrass me. She did it anyway. So sure enough, she ended up telling me I could go to Rwanda, and I had the time of my life. For the people from Maryland, Rwanda is the size of Maryland, okay? So it's a very, very small country, but it's very safe. Nobody identifies as Hutu and Tutsi anymore. They are one. We are one people, Rwandese, okay? Ooh, sorry. So I get to Rwanda, and just if we don't have any geography, you know, you need a little help. So we flew from JFK in New York to Kigali, Rwanda, okay? And so that's the picture of it. I get to Rwanda, and I'm in a cohort of 6 people, 2 African American, and then 4 white American, okay? And so I thought that it would be a very different experience. I was like, oh, we're all girls. Sisterhood, Bennett College prepared me for this. I was trusting my gut feeling, and I felt like God wouldn't disappoint me. Well, day 2 in Rwanda, we're walking to the post office. The white Americans are in the front, and the 2 African Americans are in the back because we were talking. Children start running down the street. Muzungu, 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 give me money. I was like, yo, what happened? Muzungu means white American. And these kids start lighting up over these white Americans. And before you knew it, we were separated from the group. And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm in the motherland. All my life, as an African American, I have waited to get to the continent of Africa, and I'm here. And these brown babies are running over Muzungu, Muzungu, Muzungu. You would have thought it was Christmas time. And so me and the other African American girl, we just started talking and be like, yo man, this is messed up. This is really, really messed up. And I had to go back to the information I had learned at Bennett College about globalization, colonization, and everything I had learned about sisterhood. And in that moment, we bonded and we chose to have a different perspective about the situation versus being upset, which we were a little upset. You know, we just tried to analyze what was going on. It was not their fault. It was just what they had been exposed to. So this is where we were in Austria. You still can't see that picture either, but it's okay. I went to Austria my sophomore year with Bennett College, and we had a conversation about globalization, and we had a conversation about racism, and we had a conversation about colonization, and that's when I learned all of the resources to help prepare me for Rwanda. Leaders have everything they need to survive. Warning, we are about to see pictures of where I stayed in Rwanda, okay? Remember, this was my home and it's somebody's home. So when somebody invites you into their home and they say karibu, that means that you are sensitive to what they are about to show you, okay? That means that you don't judge. Like if you live in the projects and you don't want nobody to see your house, you don't want your friend walking up in your house like, ooh, girl. No, you carry yourself with a certain type of respect, okay? So you can't really see it, but I don't know why it keeps jumping, Miss Dry, I'm sorry. So this is my bathroom on the left. You're right? So when I first saw my bathroom, I was like, I'm gonna die. You know, I'm not bougie, but I'm American, right? And I'm not wealthy, but I was raised in a middle-class neighborhood. And so to see a bathroom where there are like cracks in the wall, there are spiders everywhere, and I'm supposed to clean myself here with a bucket, I was like, I'm being punked. I am. And so I thought about all my Bennett sisters who hated staying in Player at the time when I was here, and the other old residence halls, and they were like, you know what, I can't make it through this. This is not where I live. And I was like, you know what, if my Bennett sisters could make it through it, then I can make it through it. And I realized that I had everything I needed in that moment to survive. The second picture is my toilet, okay? It's an outside toilet, it's a squatter toilet. So it's literally a piece of cement, and then there's a hole in the ground, and you are expected to do 1 and 2 in this hole, okay? So the first day, I was like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I would get up and leave, right? But eventually, I got used to it because this was my home, and I had everything I needed to survive. I was like, this is temporary, I can do it. Undergrad was temporary, I had some rough times, but I can get over it. And so yes, every day I would have to go and squat over a hole, and eventually you ask my friends, I'll be calling people like, hey girl, they be like, what you doing? I'm like, I'm in the bathroom. You get used to it. And this is my room, and I'm sorry that you really can't see these pictures well, but oh, Miss Dry. So in my room, there's a mosquito net at the top. And the mosquito net is used to keep mosquitoes out, right? So I wasn't using my mosquito net because I'm like, you know, I'm American, I got malaria pills. I'm not gonna die, I'm fine. Baby, one night I was in my bed and something ran through my bed. And I was like, I'm being punked. I'm gonna die. Like I'm gonna die again. And I realized when I was on the phone with my friend, and my friend would tell you I was freaking out. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't do it. Like I have to call my parent. I realized it was a rat. It was a rat that had ran through my bed. And look, Bennett sisters, but you can make it through. I promise you. You have everything you need to survive as a leader. Y'all like, nah. I called my mom that morning, and I was like, Mommy, I gotta go. Like, I will use my savings. We will buy the ticket now. I have to go. I don't do mice, so I definitely don't do rats. And she was like, no, you have everything you need in you to survive. You'll be okay. God's with you. And I was like, don't nobody want to hear that right now? She's like, no, we don't quit. You signed a contract. And I was like, but we ain't talk about rats in that contract. And so sure enough, I made sure the rat was out my room, and the problem was in Rwanda, doors don't touch the ground. The construction is not made in a way that the door touches the ground, so the rat came under the door. So I put a whole bunch of t-shirts under the door, And then I sprayed pepper on my floor every night with peppermint oil because that's what my auntie told me to do. And I made it through because I had everything I needed within to make it okay. Y'all still like, So this is the kitchen. This is the kitchen. And you know, people like, oh, you don't cook in no dirty kitchen. If that person's kitchen is dirty, their food gonna be dirty, right? So when I first saw the kitchen, I was like, I'm being punked again. I did not sign up for this. I did not. And I was like, where am I gonna sit? How am I gonna eat whatever is being cooked on this like surface? And eventually I got over it. I was like, you know, back in the day, my people struggled. And so if they could struggle, I could struggle. It was only for 365 days of my life, and I was called to be a leader and to be transformed, and so I chose to pull from within. Y'all still like, no, it's okay. That's porridge on the top. You eat porridge out of a cup. I thought it was absolutely nasty, but then I realized people in other situations have food that probably tastes worse than that. I never babysat a 4-month-old child and put her on my back and rocked her on my shoulder, but I pushed through. I never fed a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old. I had never lived with children that young, and they worked my nerves. But I pushed through every day because I had a job. And then I had never made a fire and cooked food over a fire. And I was like, I'm going to get burned. There's no insurance to cover my burns here. Like, something bad is going to happen. But sure enough, I released my fear, and I realized I had everything I needed within to make it through those moments. Okay, Bennett sisters? So, and then I had a spiritual foundation. So this is my crazy sticky note wall. And at Bennett College, I developed a really, really good relationship with Christ. And I was like, once the rat came, I was like, I probably should pray more, okay? So I was like, God, I'm going to put a sticky note on my wall with a prayer, and I'm going to wait for you to answer it. And every time you answer it, I'm going to put a green sticky note, okay? Don't look too closely because you might see your name on the prayer wall. So every time I prayed, God answered. And I was like, wow, you are so cool, and I thank you for keeping me through this experience. Next, I went to Fawe, which was an all-girls school. And so I was an English is a second language teacher, so students who are learning English as a second language, I was an ESL teacher. So I realized that I didn't know how to be an ESL teacher. I was like, at Bennett College, I learned how to teach people who spoke English at a first language, right? So once I stopped panicking, I realized Bennett College had given me every tool I needed to teach these students. They were all girls, so I could teach them about sisterhood. Bennett College, we don't always have every resource that we need, so I was able to be innovative, okay? We was able to fold sheets of paper in half, get you some scissors. Hello, we got flashcards, okay? Sticky notes. What? I had a bag full of sticky notes. My students loved sticky notes, okay? I was able to create lesson plans from Google. I had friends sending me things, and before I knew it, my students were some of the happiest students in the school. So as leaders, we assess problems, right? If you're a leader, you see a problem and you try to fix it. My students kept saying to me, Miss Shemiah, we want to speak better English. I was like, oh, I'm not prepared for this. And then I was like, okay, maybe I am. So then I was like, let's develop a pen pal program. And so this is how Letters to Our Faraway Sisters was started. African-American women sent my students letters and they responded back. And it was like the highlight of their year. And they began to strengthen their writing skills. Now, where else did we learn how to do pen pal things? At Bennett College when I was a student teacher. There's something about that Bennett College, right? And then this was my last day with my students. And so on the last day, they said, thank you for allowing us to meet Americans. Thank you for showing us pictures of them because they look like us. We thought they didn't look like us, but some of them wear short hair, some of them have long hair, some of them smile like us, and so we say thank you. Now, another situation I had at Fawe was with the faculty and staff. So I had an iPhone, and sometimes I would take pictures, and so they started spreading a rumor that I was an FBI agent. I was like, I can't make this up. I can't. So all the teachers stopped talking to me because they thought I was an FBI agent. And so my friend from Uganda, because Ugandans speak English, he says, you know, I know you don't want to hear this, but they think you're an FBI agent, and so you have to prove to them that you're not. I said, how do you prove that you're not an FBI agent? I was like, you know, I'm just going to mind my business. I'm going to come in and say good morning, and I'm going to continue to be nice. And although they were mean to me, I still continued to be nice. And I learned that very important lesson at Bennett College. Some of you serve on organizations with people you don't like or people who don't like you, right? And it is your job as a student leader to walk into those meetings and to handle yourself in a professional manner. Still say hi, good morning, how are you, and you keep it pushing. I also had the issue of I was the youngest teacher. Most teachers in Rwanda are 33 years old or older. And the majority of them are men because women feel like teaching is dirty work. So my students loved me. They were like, oh, you're 20-something, we're 20-something, hey, we're sisters. So the teachers did not like me because they were jealous. And I was like, where have I felt this before? And I remember I had an experience at Bennett College. And I was like, you can make it through this because you were prepared for this and you moved through it, okay? We must also remember that leaders must humble themselves and be served. Now, I'm the firstborn of 3 girls, and so I don't do well with allowing other people to serve me. Who else is the oldest in the room? Okay, right. So you all struggle, right? So when I got to Rwanda and I realized that hospitality is a part of their culture, I was like, this is going to be a problem for me. If somebody invites you into their home, if someone cooks for you, you are expected to eat it because their culture is based on hospitality. You offend people by not eating their food. You offend people by not coming into their house. You offend people by not sleeping at their house. So I was like, yeah, this is going to be a problem for me. So the lady in the pink shirt is my host mom, and this is Jackie. Jackie was the first one to challenge me with this hospitality piece. She would say, Shemiah, let the house girls, which are maids, let them come into your room and clean your room. I'm like, Jackie, I'm 23, I'm 24. I don't need anybody to clean my room. I can clean my room. Shemiah, let the house girls wash your clothes. Jackie, I can wash my own clothes. And I would see the way that it would offend her, and I was like, wow, I really have to let her help me. And I remember the same feeling at Bennett College with some of my mentees. Let me help you. Let me help you. No, leave me alone. Leave me alone. And it was this tit for tat, but I realized in order to be an effective leader, you sometimes have to sit down and allow other people to serve you. You cannot do it by yourself. So let me explain the picture so you all are not confused. The man on this side is my host father. This is Shema. That's his sister Deborah, who was our house girl. That's Jackie, his wife. That's Shema's brother James. This is John V.A., our other house girl, and these are their children, Derike and Clever. Okay? Yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm not gonna say the other point. So as far as hospitality and being served, sometimes they would have to mop the floor, and so people in Rwanda mop the floor like this, and I'm like, no, let me help you, like you're back. And they would say, they'd be like, Americans are not strong. You cannot do this. I'm like, what do you mean we aren't strong? It's just a little mopping. And then sure enough, I tried it one time, and I was like, no, I'm not strong. This is them preparing to wash clothes, and so usually it's a bucket and people wash with their wrist and their hands. And I'm like, girls, let me help you wash clothes. Like, I can do this. Like, let me help you. And they're like, no, our job is to serve you. So sure enough, one day they let me wash it. Man, I washed one pair of jeans and I was done, okay? It's nothing like trying to hand wash some jeans or some sheets. Think about it, trying to hand wash your bed sheets. Can you imagine how tiring that is? And then you gotta wring it and wring it and wring it. No, you're right, I'm too weak for this. So yeah, these are all our house girls. And this is Florence. She was my favorite house girl because Florence was closer to my age. And so she was like, Shemiah, you can't do it by yourself. You're too strong. You're too strong. You're too strong. I'm like, Florence, just let me help you. And she's like, no, that is not the Rwandan way. That is the American way, and you need to stop. And I was like, So sometimes leaders have to humble themselves and be served, and you have to be okay with God putting people in your life to serve you. It doesn't mean that you're weak. It doesn't mean that you're a bad person, but it just may mean that sometimes, job well done, you get some time to relax, okay? Now, I also think about the first person who taught me this lesson of hospitality and being served, and that's my god sister Shawanda, who is an alum of Bennett College. When I first came to Bennett College, she embarrassed me, okay? And she embarrassed me in the sense of she knew that I didn't know anybody. So Shawanda would drag me all around this campus, and she'd be like, hey, this is my god sister. And she would introduce me to all of these people, and it made me like just want her to be quiet. And she would do things for me. She would go grocery shopping for me. She would cook food for me. She would take me into all of the residence halls. She made sure I knew her line sisters. She made sure I felt comfortable. And she finally said to me, I'm doing this so that one day you can lead and be comfortable in the way that you lead on this campus. You need to know everybody and everything. And that's the same thing that the Rwandan people did for me. They made sure that I knew everybody and I knew everything in Rwanda so that I felt comfortable to lead. Okay? And so sometimes when people are trying to show you hospitality, you just need to go through the process and be served so that you can be a more effective leader. Now, when you don't do any of those things, when you don't trust your gut, when you don't use everything that you need to survive, and when you don't allow other people to serve you, you end up like this, sleepy and tired. So one thing I didn't mention about when I graduated was that I had worked my butt off as SGA president. And I had worked my butt off so much that on the day of graduation, after we went out to eat, I ended up in Sebastian's sleep on my friend's couch. I didn't want to do anything else. And after me graduating, it took me 2 weeks to get out of the cycle of sleeping all the time because I was so tired. As leaders, you must take care of yourself. If you are going into overdrive for your family, for your organization, for your church, you must take some time to take care of yourself. And sometimes that means separating yourself from this campus. People don't want to say it, but I will say it from you. Say it to you. If you need to go away for a weekend, you should, and take care of yourself, okay? So, finally, trust your gut. You have everything you need to survive. Humble yourself and be served. Murakoze chane, which means thank you. Question and answer time. Okay. Does anyone have any questions? There are some things I didn't put in the slide intentionally, so I can answer those questions. It can be about leadership or it can be about Rwanda. And if you don't have any questions, I won't be upset. Oh, okay, hi. Almost a year. Yeah, girl, I was swatting for a year. So I thank God for my toilet every day, okay? Yes. Oh, yeah, that's a very good question with menstruation. So some people use Diva cups. I was not one of those because I don't think Diva cups are helpful for me. So in the most non-explicit way, I would go to the toilet at night time, and then if I had to keep something in my room, I had a garbage can in my room, and then I would take it back to the toilet in the morning. But you throw the sanitary napkins down the pit toilet. It's a little more complex for students who stay in school because everybody in Rwanda boards, and so for them, they either burn them or they throw it down the pit toilet. Anybody else? Yes, Ayana.
Okay, so I know you say you draw more closer to God during your experience. So what was the moment where you was like, God, I can't do this by myself?
When the rat came through my bed. Definitely. Or when, one thing we take for granted as English speakers is that every time you go to church, everyone's speaking English. So the services in Rwanda were in their native language. And so I would be sitting in the back for 4 hours just listening to people talking their own language. And I would say in those moments, God, I really need you because I'm thinking about Subway and there's no Subway, okay? Mm-hmm. Hi. Hi. Good to see you.
Are you still learning the language now that you're gone, or?
Not really. You lose a lot of your language skills once you leave that country. And so, I can say, Nitwa Shemiah, Murakoze chane, Amakuru, which means how are you, and then you can say Nikeza. Basics. I can do some numbers. There's another question.
Hi. Hi, my name is Raven Love. I'm a graduate of Bennett College. I graduated in 2015, BA in psychology. Shemiah, could you touch a little bit on the perception of girls or women in Rwanda?
Sure. I did not include that for another reason. So I struggle with that a lot because in Rwanda, you are a girl until you get married. So even if you live in your parents' house and you are 33 years old, you are a girl because you are not married. And so coming from Bennett College where we say, you know, the girl transforms into the woman, I was like, I left Bennett College like, you know, I'm a woman. So when I got to Rwanda, people were like, no, Abakoga, which means girl, Abakoga, good Abakoga. And I was just like, no, I'm a woman. And they would laugh at me. And so I lost a lot of my voice and a lot of my rights as a woman because in this culture I was considered a girl. So that means that I had to be in the house by a certain time. That means I could only wear certain things. That means I could only speak on certain things because I didn't have all the rights of a woman who was married.
Hi, Shemiah.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
It's so good to see you.
Diana Eastep. I'm a senior computer science major from Waldorf, Maryland. My question is, what's next for you?
What's next for me? Okay, that's a tough question. So right now I'm a recruiter for the program that sent me to Rwanda, and then my long-term goal is to go to graduate school and pursue a doctoral degree. So that's what I'll be doing in the next 2 years, okay?
Hi, Shemiah.
Hi, how are
My
you?
name is Brandy Govian. I'm a junior. I'm a journalism major in D.C. And I would like to know, did you experience culture shock from coming from America and then coming back, going to Rwanda and then coming back?
Mm-hmm.
How did you deal with the culture?
Yeah. I experienced culture shock when I got there, and it took me about 3 months to get accustomed to the culture, especially with the time zone and eating. And I didn't touch on eating, but that was such a big thing for me. And a lot of people who serve in other countries develop eating disorders, okay? Because you don't have control over your food. And so my eating with my family got so bad at certain points that I would literally pretend like I put food on my plate so they wouldn't pile more on my plate, and I would like hurry up and eat it and then push it away. Because they would try to feed me so much food. And Americans don't eat as much as Rwandans. Like, we really don't. Like, my girls can put down 2 plates of rice easy, okay? And I just couldn't. And so I think for a lot of Americans who serve on the continent of Africa, they struggle with their eating, going there and coming back because somebody has been controlling it for so long. And that was a big culture shock. Another culture shock is Rwandans drink tea all the time. Tea! And it's hot tea. And they have hot meals every day. And I was like, it's 90 degrees outside. In America, we eat a sandwich. They was like, what? No, you eat a hot meal here every day. I was like, I can't. I'm sweating and my stomach's hot at the same time. I can't. But when I asked them for more water, and it was just, lack of education, my host father would say, you don't need more water. There's water in the fruit. And there's water in the tea, and so that's how you will get your water. And if you want more water, you will drink milk because the cows drink milk, and that's how you will get your water. And I was like, I can't, Jesus. Like, that was a big culture shock for me. I had never heard somebody say that. I was like, in America, we don't operate like that. And I think coming back, my culture shock is people think that you recover very quickly. And so I talk very low now. I usually talk higher, and this is probably the highest I've talked in the last couple of months. But because in Rwanda, people told me that I was unruly or I wasn't acting ladylike when I spoke loudly, I learned to take my voice down. So I can't speak, I can't yell anymore. Like, it just doesn't happen naturally for me. So sometimes it's offensive for me for people like, girl, you talking low. And I know they don't mean it because that's our culture, but it does send me into a culture shock. Food sends me into a culture shock. It always makes my stomach upset. And I think just our lack of understanding for other cultures. People were so patient with me in Rwanda. If I could not speak their language, they'd be like, no, it's Abakoga. I say it again. Abakoga, right? But we hear somebody speaking Spanish and we have the nerve as Americans to say, oh, they need to learn English. But wait until you go into another country and you don't know their language and you see how graceful they are with you, right? And so that's just a culture shock for me because now I have an international focus and perspective. Okay, hello. Hi, Alexis. Yeah. Nice to meet you. What did I do to make me? What did I do in my free time, right? To have fun? My neighbor, Sandrine, spoke English very well, so we would go over to her house and cook together. And I would take care of her baby, and we would crack jokes, and she would tell me the community gossip. So that was fun. You know, people, we don't think this, but people in other countries have community gossip. People are doing all kinds of things that we do in our neighborhoods, and so she'd be like, "Oh, girl, yeah, this person was with this person last night, and now this person is pregnant." You know, so it was just really crazy. It was a soap opera, and I enjoyed it. And then I would go to Kigali because a lot of foreigners live in Kigali and have like ice cream and pizza, and so that was fun. And then what's your second question again? What? My room was my safe haven, and so I had a little tapestry on the wall that one of my best friends gave me, and I had, you know, pictures, and I listened to music, and I watched movies. I watch movies so much, it's not even funny, but I did that a lot.
Hi, Shemiah. My name is Maya, man. Sorry, y'all.
I can't see you.
I'm right here.
Oh, okay. Hi, how are you?
My name is Maya Mance. I'm a freshwoman from Flint, Michigan, and I was wondering what was your favorite food while you were there?
Okay, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, too.
My favorite, ibijumba. Ibijumba is sweet potatoes, and they were so sweet. I just loved them, and then they fried them, and it got that little crunch on it. You know the little crunch that you get from like bacon or something? Oh my goodness, I love it. Thank you for your question.
I'm Kirsten Williams, chemistry major, and I'm a junior. But my question was, would you ever study abroad again? And then my second question was, do you still keep in contact with your host family or like friends that you there?
Yeah. Would I ever live abroad again? Yes. I would plan to go back in 2 years. I don't know if I'm living there, but yeah, I would definitely. And how do I keep in contact with my host family? Through email, but internet is very expensive for the average poor family, okay? And so whenever they have access, they email me or WhatsApp. And then there's one up there. When I was in Rwanda, did I? That gets a little. I think that's a play on privilege, right? I was black and I was treated less than sometimes, but I was black and people welcomed me into their house a lot more, okay? And so I did receive a lot of gifts and a lot of. Hi, Mr. Johnson. How are you?
When you had a theory of all the children ran to the white people, did you ever find out the history of that behind that?
Yes, so the genocide in Rwanda has a very interesting context, in my opinion. When the French came over to colonize, they colonized through the Catholic Church. And so they were trained when they separate the Hutus from the Tutsis, which was a part of the colonization. Like Rwandans didn't divide themselves into those groups. The people who came to colonize did. And so they were trained based on that separation that white was right. And so when I ask my students, how do you feel about colonization, or how do you feel about lighter skin, they say they like it because that's what has been ingrained in them for, hundreds of years. So that's why they ran up to them. And I think it's also safe to assume that through my own personal experiences, that people don't perceive Black Americans as having money. And so they weren't going to run up to me because they didn't think I had money.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey, my name is Tyler. I'm a junior business major. So back to leadership, what do you feel like was the defining moment at Bennett that made you want to be a leader? And then how did you feel empowered when you were a leader here?
Very good question to leadership. I would say maybe my sophomore year, I was a new student orientation leader. And I was so crazy about these sticky notes that I went into Barge Hall in Jones, and I wrote good morning on all these sticky notes for all these fresh women, okay? And I got up at 6 o'clock and I was running. So one of them said to me, like, why do you keep doing this? I was like, because everybody deserves to feel loved. And she was like, really? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, I really needed that, sis. And ever since that moment, it just stuck with me. And I realized that leaders have impact, okay? And so as I continued to lead throughout my year, I didn't look for a result necessarily, but I looked for the people that I touched and the people that touched me. And I took that with me to Rwanda. I didn't care about result. I cared about the people that I touched and the people that touched me.
Hi, Shemiah. My name is Rosemary, and I'm the director of the Center for Global Studies. And I honestly can relate to what you're saying because I am actually Nigerian. I'm from Africa, so a lot of what you've said, I can relate to it. And I really, really appreciate you coming here today and talking and actually looking at the number of people who have come to listen to you talk and how Bennett has influenced all the things that you made and helped you, understand the culture and come back with such great stories about your experience in Rwanda. So what I'm going to say is that everybody please actually, we've got more places apart from Rwanda that we can send you to because it's obvious how much of a difference this trip has made to her life and how it has actually enhanced her experiences to be a better leader. So this is what global studies is all about. This is what study abroad is all about. It changes you for the better. It gives you a better perspective and makes you appreciate more where you're coming from and that it's the differences that make us actually great. So thank you so much and I really appreciate it. So please come to the Global Studies office. Thank you so much.
Very nice to meet you.
Hi,
Dr. McLucas, I'm nervous. What are you going to ask me?
I'm just going to ask you about gender.
You
didn't put it in your slide, but if you can talk a little bit about the gender dynamic.
I was saving it for your class.
I'm sorry, I'll see you on the 30th.
No, that was something that I also struggled with because I think for most of, in my family, I can't generalize, I've always viewed women as the leaders. I've seen them cooking and cleaning and working. And so when I went to Rwanda, I realized that women were only leaders if they cooked and they cleaned and they birthed children. And I was like, this doesn't add up to me. Like, how can I come from a place like Bennett College where we are encouraged to be in the classroom and in the student leadership meetings, and then I go to Rwanda where people in a day-to-day household are encouraged to only lead in their families. And so it was really conflicting for me, and a really good example is my host mom was 9 months pregnant. We didn't have a house girl at the time, and she was walking like this, and I was like, Jackie, you're gonna pop. And she was like, no, but I have to cook and I have to clean. And I was like, why can't your husband cook and clean? And she's like, no, that's not his job. So I got up and I started cooking and cleaning with her, and she was so grateful. But I was just like, wow, like this is your spouse. And I could tell at moments it frustrated her, but she couldn't do anything about that conflict because that was her spouse, and that was the culture of her family. And that's not the culture of every family in Rwanda. That was just the culture of her family, okay?
All right, we have time for 2 more questions before we have to get out of here. We're going to ask this young lady to ask her question, and then we'll take the question up top. If you have any more questions, feel free to meet us next door in Steele Hall Art Gallery, where Shemiah will be there showing some of the African attire that she brought back from Rwanda, and you'll have opportunity to ask her some questions there as well.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning. It's very nice.
First, I'd like to say I thank you, and I really enjoyed your presentation. It was very, very nice. My name is Esther Woods Ross, and I'm a parent of a new student here, and I'm here for Parent Weekend. I just have 2 questions, and you may have already answered one of these. But the first question, you mentioned you took your faith with you as a Christian. And I wanted you to give feedback on when you were there. Did you notice any instances where people were persecuted because of their faith while being there? The second question is, could you elaborate on any gender differences you may have seen there as far as comparing it to gender roles there and looking at how genders are here in America in work or home, etc.?
Yes, ma'am, no problem.
Thank you.
So for the first question, people in Rwanda are very spiritual people. About 95% of the population is Christian and only 5% are Muslim. And Christians and Muslims get along. And the reason they get along is because when the genocide happened, people ran to the mosque, and the people in the mosque protected them. And so ever since then, a lot more people have converted, and they have a very good relationship because at that time they said, it wasn't about who chooses to pray to who, but we are one, we are Rwandese, and we choose to protect each other, okay? Everybody in Rwanda prays. I ask my students, what makes you happy? Which is a question I ask a lot of my mentees, and they say praying. I was like, wow, I need your type of faith. Or what do you like to do in your free time? And they would say pray or talk to God. And so from a very, very young age, spirituality is planted into people in Rwanda. And I think the best example that I can give is one time I went to a choir member's house and she was sick. And the choir members gathered around her and they started praying for her. And all they were using were their feet and their voices. And they were all crying and worshiping together, but that was nothing unusual to see in Rwanda. You will see people standing on the side of the road or going to each other's house to cry and to pray and to worship together and to say, God, I need you to heal, or I just want to thank you. And then to your second question about gender, I think for my Bennett sisters, this one would be very interesting. Some fathers choose not to pay for their daughters' tuition because they don't feel like they are as valuable as their daughters. And so that one really was difficult for me because I could not imagine my father telling me he would not pay for me to go to high school because he didn't feel like I was as valuable as my brother or his son, But that's very common. Fathers just will not pay because they feel like there's no return on their exchange. And so, she's not as valuable as a cow. It's just a very weird system in my opinion, but I had to respect it and my students respect it. And my students would often tell me, Miss Shemiah, it frustrates us because we read one time in BBC that if you educate a girl, you educate an entire family, but if you educate a man, you just educate him. And they said when you look at girls, when we get educated, we take our resources and we invest back in our families. But when you invest in boys, Ms. Shemiah, they just leave, they just go. And that's just the way that the culture is. And so my girls were fighting every day to stay in school. Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
My question is, when you decided that you wanted to study abroad, did you want to go to Rwanda or did you have
No, No, so the program is a faith-based program, and so you go through something called a discernment retreat, and they basically send you to whatever country they want to send you to. And so, based on my interview at the discernment retreat, they said Rwanda was the best place for me, especially because I don't eat meat, really. I only eat fish, and Rwanda is usually like a plant-based diet, so I was happy there. All right, thank you.
Can we get another round of applause for Shemiah? And thank you for coming and speaking with your Bennett younger sisters. I think it's great for them to see your recent grad talk about their the
Experience they got. Faculty, staff, and guests of the college, you are now dismissed. Okay, ladies, we'll have some announcements, so we can go ahead on and get y'all out. So, first announcement is we will have our first class meeting. That's all classes next Tuesday. There will be a flyer going out. It'll be at 11 o'clock, and the designated places will be on the flyer. Student body meeting is next Wednesday as well, so please do come out. We do have some information that we need to get out to you. Also, starting tomorrow is coronation weekend, so tomorrow will be the regale at 6 p.m. in the GLC. Please do come out and support because this is in honor of your 38th Miss Bennett College, Nakia Harris. As well as her royal court. And then Saturday, doors open at 6:30 will be the actual coronation of Miss Bennett College. We ask that y'all do show up and come in support of her. The program will start at 7 p.m. Okay? All right. So I have a few shout outs to Kirsten Williams. She did a summer internship at the University of Florida with the Summer Health Profession and Education Program. And Alexis Jones did a 4-week immersion, shadowing and mentoring program to increase minorities across the healthcare profession at the Duke University School of Nursing. All right, y'all, we have 29 days till Morehouse? 29 days till Morehouse, so you are now in the hands of the marshals.